Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Jay the Great here. Welcome back to another podcast here today. Apologies for the delay. Had a longer than expected shift today at my IRL job. So apologies for that. I hope you're all doing well, though. I'm riding solo today. Shinobi's having some technical difficulties, but he should be back hopefully next week. But hope you are all doing well. Plenty to discuss, as we all know. Dragon Ball Daima, Bleach, One Piece, which I am still continuing my quest to complete. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, of course, I've played it. I'm going to purchase it soon and perhaps stream it. More than likely, I am going to stream it. I'm probably going to play ranked for you guys and try to become the best player I can on that as well. So that's certainly the plan. But what's going on, Sir Goats? What's going on, Tarion? Distraight, appreciate that, brother. Crimson King, what's going on, guys? But plenty to discuss, folks. Plenty to discuss. Give me 1 second. Gotta get the soundboard up and running, of course. Wouldn't be a regular pod without that, would it? And of course, by the way, if you haven't already, make sure to hit the like button already. It's greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated, folks. But yeah, let's get straight down to business and discuss chapter 15. All right, let's go ahead and discuss the newest chapter of Boruto. It was certainly a very revealing one. Also, from a narrative standpoint, but from a power scaling standpoint as well. Certainly very revealing. Have you seen today's Bleach episode? Actually, I haven't. I haven't got a chance to. I'm gonna watch that probably soon after this, right after, more than likely. But I am caught up with the first two episodes. Very, very good stuff. Very excited to see some of these guys. Yo, Jay, I got glaucoma. Man, I'm sorry about to hear that, brother. That's rough. But yeah, folks, so chapter 15 of Boruto is certainly very revealing. Again, from a narrative standpoint, of course, with the revelations that we have, but from a power scaling aspect as well. So, this chapter, right, chapter 15, seemingly confirmed that all Senju are beyond High Kage level, with Matsuri, right, effortlessly defeating Gaara, as we all know from the chapter, who was able to somewhat restrain Kinshiki Otsutsuki, as we can all remember previously in the narrative. Temporarily, at least. He's not relative or anything of that matter, but he was still able to restrain someone of that caliber temporarily, which is impressive to say the least. And Ryu, right, the clone of Shinji, excuse me, of Gaara's son. I'm thinking of One Piece for some reason. Effortlessly restrained no limit or code in this chapter. He actually effortlessly restrained him like a child. Truly, it was very, very nonchalant. It was not a struggle for him whatsoever. And Code literally threw a tantrum while being restrained by Ryu. Very, very impressive to say the least. It was casual. It wasn't a struggle by any means on Ryu's side. Very, very impressive by Ryu, this new clone that we now know. So that indicates more than likely that all these Shinju, like I said, are high Kage level and at least low tier Otsutsuki at the very least. At the very least, right? With this new Shinki clone, Matsuru doing what she did against a Kage that battled in Otsutsuki at the very least. That's very impressive to say the least. So this essentially confirms that these Shinju are top of the verse. All of them, including Jura, of course, who has displayed the most impressive power scaling, right, with him one-shotting Kawaki and Boruto. Right, so that's one of the most interesting revelations of this chapter. Now, the Shinju, right, when Code is restrained by Ryu, because Ryu's still kind of figuring out who he is, right, he's kind of defaulting to Jura for guidance, right, he sees Jura as his leader. But however, when he's restraining him, the Shinju display some sort of loyalty to Code for creating them, essentially. However, um, they do have an ego, right? And because of that, they seem doubtful to continue carrying out Code's will, and more so want to carry out their own, right? Jura speaks to Code in a way that indicates he deems himself superior, right? He says, Code, I owe you my existence, right? So I'm going to attempt to help you gain the chakra fruit, right? That he wants to acquire. So they essentially make a compromise, and only because Jura, uh, in his mind, believes he owes him that much, he basically they come to the conclusion and to the compromise that if Code is able to kill Boruto and his comrades, he will receive the chakra fruit, right? So that's the basically the compromise that Code and Juro and the Shinju made with Code. Out of respect for him being the one that led to their existence, right? They in no way see him as a threat. I mean, we saw a brand new Shinju clone effortlessly restrain Code like it was nothing, right? And again, no limiter Code was stated to be above Jigen, the same Jigen that quite casually defeated Prime Naruto and Sasuke pre-Baryon mode, which indicates that all these Shinju are on that level. That is an insane level, to say the least. Now, also in this chapter, right, Boruto actually admits inferiority to Jura when asking Kawaki for help, right? With that the statement he makes, he's implying that even he at full power would be unable to defeat him, right? Many of us were theorizing, well, many of us were rather deducing, well, we haven't seen Boruto at full power. We haven't seen him use his possible theoretical sage mode. We haven't seen him possibly use the karma. But we can now conclude pretty safely that even with that, he would be inferior. That's quite telling. Boruto said it himself, right? So it's quite authentic and a quite reliable source, right? He's the one saying it himself. So because of this, he asks Kawaki for help, right? He deems him and Kawaki as the best odds of defeating the Shinju and Jura, right? They working together have a better chance than alone because it's quite obvious individually they are inferior to Jura and the Shinju in conjunction, right? So that's very telling as well. That's very telling. Shows that Boruto, despite the leaps and bounds he's made as a shinobi, he's still unable to ward off this new foe, right? This new foe is above Jigen, especially Juro, significantly above Jigen. Because you got to remember how badly Boruto beat Code at the beginning of Two Blue Vortex, chapter 1 and 2. It was very effortless and very casual, right? Quite casual. And Juro one-shotted him casually. So that goes to show you the large gap in power between Jura and everybody else, right? It's quite vast and quite large. So now this is more of a narrative sort of revelation. Another revelation we have, right, and this is crazy, is that Amado has placed limiters on Kawaki's seemingly artificially created power, right, with this artificial karma that he now has, and is also surveilling him via cameras somewhere on his body. We see him in the chapter seeing everything Kawaki's seeing. And Boruto was aware of this. He said Amado probably probably surveilling you to some extent. Now that's very interesting. Amado, like I said in the past, is the most intelligent being I've ever seen in the Boruto verse / even Naruto verse, and yes, even over Shikamaru and his father. This guy, the things he's able to accomplish, ridiculous. Created cyborgs with Shinju type abilities, right? Shinjutsu, and now is able to put cameras on a living being and literally survey, literally keep tabs on them. He literally created an artificial karma. The guy's intelligence is out of this world. It's truly impressive. I mean, he's leagues above any other intellect in the Naruto verse. I'll say that at the very least. Amado truly is a menace, like as you could tell with the title. The guy is extremely cunning, extremely intelligent, very mysterious, all the above, all the above. Um, Now, another sort of thematic indication that I gathered from this chapter is that Kawaki and Boruto have found what seems to be some common ideological ground, right? Both agreed in this chapter to become allies to defeat the Shinju clones before eliminating all of Tsutsuki's, including themselves, right? Boruto literally said, hey man, after we defeat the Shinju, you can kill me if you want. Like they have a common goal and they have a common enemy, right? So they came to some common ideological ground, right? They have a similar objective, so they are now working together. And this also displays Boruto's loyalty to Kawaki, right? He is even questioned by Kawaki himself. Kawaki asked him, "Hey, well, how come you haven't told Konoha in the Naruto world the truth yet? You know, why haven't you told the Shinobi world and Konoha the truth?" He said, "Because that's gonna stir shit up. I don't want to do that. I think that's unnecessary. It's trivial, and it will just cause more problems and solutions at this very moment, right?" So Boruto has a very intellectual way of traversing in his career now, right? With Sasuke being his mentor. So this chapter was very good. A lot of revelations in many ways, in many many ways here. I'm certainly looking forward to see what's to come in Two Blue Vortex. Clearly, Boruto and Kawaki are going to work together. We learn that Ryu, right, the clone of Shinki, now has a target on Gaara's head, right? Jura basically asks Ryu, "Hey, you're sentient. What do you desire? Right? Who is on your mind?" All right, and naturally, because Ryu is a clone of Shinki, who is the son of Gaara, adopted son, of course Ryu said, "Gaara's on my mind. He's my target." Right? Just like Jura's target is Naruto's, and Matsuri's target is Moyogi. Right? So clearly, it makes sense logically. So we got tons of revelations here. Very, very telling. Certainly looking forward to it, to what's to come. Great chapter. Honestly, I have really nothing bad to say about it. I know it seems like I'm glazing these days, but it really is that good. Um, Enough said, truly. But yeah, folks, any questions you may have on the chapter, anything else, feel free to ask. Anything at all. I did watch Dragon Ball Daima as well. So to give my thoughts on that, while you guys ask questions, feel free to ask anything. Doesn't have to be about what I'm speaking about. It can be about anything at all. We try to stir the melting pot on the podcast with all topics, of course. So a few things I noticed. First of all, watching Dragon Ball Daima brought an influx of nostalgia to me. Of course, right? Seeing Kid Goku with the staff he utilized as a child once again was, quite the observation. A lot of nostalgia seeing that, seeing him use that again, seeing him utilize it utilize it to practice combat. Dama gonna be better than GT, better GT. So far, so good, and I like where it's headed. Very lighthearted as well. But yeah, so as far as power scaling observations, because I'm sure many of you guys are wondering about that, what really interested me was, the Kai's essentially stating, sorry, I just fucking yawned, that Boo is able to produce a gas that can apparently undo Potara fusion, right? Because meaning ask, how did the Kai's become unfused, right? It should be forever. Well, Boo produces a gas that undoes Potara fusion, which is actually very interesting, right? It answers further questions about the nature of the Potara fusion, with again even Kibito and the Supreme Kai being split apart. Very, very interesting. Juro J is a Ten Tails. Why do you think Juro wants to devour Naruto? So, a logical deduction I'd make to that is perhaps that Ten Tails itself has resentment towards Naruto, right? Because Naruto in the war arc, for example, right, battled the Ten Tails. He led the alliance literally into battle against it, and perhaps it it remembers Naruto as the main culprit in its defeat, right? Perhaps that's the reason why. Perhaps it's resentful, and now Ajura, being a reincarnation of it, he feels that resentment and now wants to target Naruto. That's what I would say from a logical standpoint. Of course, that's all theoretical, but that's perhaps the reason why. Another reason, of course, is that Jura and the Ten Tails have some sort of other altercation or issue with Naruto, but that the one I just stated seems to make the most sense as of now, I'd say. I like that the demon realm is the setting. I agree. I agree. Certainly very, very telling. Now, I'll say this as well about Dragon Ball Daima. It seems implied, with the Z Fighters being now children, of course, due to the Dragon Balls, the perception of distance, right, and martial arts mastery has been arbitrarily diminished due to them being shrinked in size, with Kid Master Roshi stating Goku is not used to traversing in battle at this size, indicating he hasn't mastered balance at this point, which is why you see Goku and Piccolo and all of them flying all over the place. They can't control their bodies, right? So that implies some sort of nerf with these guys, right? They have some sort of nerf at this current moment, right? We see them training, trying to be able to combat with their bodies now that they're children, right? So that's an interesting observation, interesting sort of dynamic there. Perhaps you could theorize they're weaker than when they were adults. Maybe they don't have God Ki now. You know, if their bodies don't have balance, perhaps because they're children, they don't have access to God Ki or something of that nature. We'll see, though. Of course, it's early on in Dragon Ball Daima. Very, very interesting. Um, so, Dragon Ball Daima is certainly very interesting. I'm very curious to see where the narrative heads. King Goma, right, the one that takes over after Dabura is defeated, is stated to be quite powerful. So that's going to be an interesting sort of, battle to come for the Z Fighters. Certainly going to be very, very interesting. Also, I want to know more about the new guy. Do you mean the guy that's going to take Goku to the Demon Realm? I believe he's a Kai, right? Or the brother of, this is King Kai or something like that. There's a lot of interesting characters, right? King Goma, and other individuals from the Demon Realm as well. We're definitely need some combat very soon. That's for sure. Certainly looking forward to it. A lot of nostalgia. Clearly, I'm biased as they come, so I'm a huge fan already. Huge fan. I'm wondering why Amado would want Kawaki to be the weaker. To be perfectly honest, I think they'd want Kawaki to be as strong as possible due to the threat of Code and Jura. Amado's very intelligent, very cunning. I'm sure he has his reasons. I'm sure he has his very mysterious reasons for the things that he does, right? For the decisions he makes, for the devices and literal cyborgs he creates. I'm sure he has his reasons. He's very, very calculated. He's a very calculated individual. But yeah, folks, any questions at all? Any questions at all, feel free. It can be about Dragon Ball Daima. It can be about the new chapter of Boruto. It can be about Bleach. It can be about, of course, any power scaling you may have, of course, or IRL, whatever the case may be. Feel free. Feel free to ask. But now, while you guys keep asking questions, and I'll jump to. I went on an anime spree the other day. I watched all of Bleach, Thousand Year Blood War. You made it to the Little Garden yet in OP? I believe so. I'm currently on One Piece. Luffy just defeated Waffle, right? Who is the king of some location that they are currently at. He defeated Waffle, who I believe has a Munch Munch Devil Fruit, I believe. He defeated Waffle quite impressively. Luffy really is that guy. So that's what I just finished concluding, that battle between him and Waffle. And of course, I know of the reindeer as well. He's pretty cool. My favorite character is still Zoro, but Luffy's right there. Um, and so far, very, very good world building. Very good world building, I'd say. Luffy does still remind me a lot of Naruto. Very ambitious, very tenacious. Very tenacious individual. Clearly always wanting to, become more as a pirate. I'm curious on how powerful Shiba would be if you dropped him in Dragon Ball Z. He's 4D, so he'd very easily be, in the realm of the top combatants in Dragon Ball. James, the personal question: how strong do you think Kawaki will be if the limiters that are restraining his power are removed? It's interesting. I'd say perhaps Boruto's level, perhaps maybe more. We saw Code sort of jump in power when he got his limiters removed, right? Before that, he was an inner, right? He was a Kara inner, but I believe he was still inferior to, of course, Jigen and perhaps Naruto and Sasuke, and maybe relative to some of the other inners. But once they got removed, he surpassed Jigen, right? That's quite the jump in power. So it'd probably be similar with Kawaki, I'd say. So he got the flashbacks in Drum Island. I believe so. Yeah, I believe so, yeah. Yeah, folks, any questions at all, feel free. I got some videos coming soon. Boruto content, actually, because of the interesting revelations of this chapter, let's just say, I do have some ideas for content as far as Boruto. And, answer some questions that I believe most people want to have answered. So, but while you guys keep asking questions, and I'll jump to Bleach, right, with Thousand Year Blood War. Very, very good. I'm liking where it's headed. Uwalk is clearly extremely, extremely powerful. With 3 of Division 0 dead, we learned that a Division 0 squad member can release their Bankai, right? Senju states this. And obviously, even before this part came out, we learned that these individuals are multiversal, right? We see Senjumaru's Bankai spiritual pressure alone being enough to shake multiple realms, right? With that being, the world of the living, Wako Mundo, and of course the Soul Society, respectively. Very shocking how powerful these individuals are. She was able to do that with this spiritual pressure. That's insane. That's extremely, extremely impressive. Ichibei with his Bankai, right, as we all know, just from what I've observed, right, because I haven't concluded the manga. I want the anime to conclude. I'd rather conclude it that way. So, from my observation, Ichibei with his Bankai can manipulate all combatants, right, as he stated, Soul Reapers, Quincy's, Halls, etc., into becoming a whole different identity, rendering them powerless, having the first ever evolved Sanpakuto, which is very impressive. However, Uwalk regained his power after, Ichibei changed him into an ant, I believe, his identity, undoing the Bankai of Ichibei to some extent, enough to strike Ichibei having the Almighty, which, from my understanding, allows him to see all things, right, as he states, which, from my observation, allows him to even have the power of conceptual manipulation, right? Because think of it this way, for those wondering why that's a power. He literally undid his identity, right? The very concept of his identity was warped by the Almighty, right? And of course, he has insight into the future. He keeps saying, "Oh, I knew this would come. I knew this would happen. Ichigo, I knew you'd be here. I knew you'd come to try and stop me." So he's obviously the Almighty, right? And that term is used to describe deities, not only in anime but in religions, right? So it's a very fitting term for someone with the abilities of Ewok, right? It's a very fitting ability for him, or name of an ability rather. The Almighty, right? He can manipulate concepts, manipulate reality to some arbitrary extent. It's quite impressive. Ewok's power is some of the most OP fictional shit ever. Agreed. They'll need some cruisy loophole to beat him. Ichigo's been the knight in shining armor throughout the narrative. I'm assuming he's the one to put the nail in the coffin. I'm assuming. I did see Aizen, being sort of brought up when Shinshui went down to the lair he was incarcerated in and tried to compromise with him. That's very interesting. Aizen is extremely powerful, of course. It's going to be interesting to see how that works as well. To be honest, Aizen is the best villain on all of Bleach. Oh, as of now, I'll say easily. I don't know too much about Ewok yet, but right now, Aizen's easily the best villain. Yeah, not even close. So one thing about Ewok though as a character is, with him attempting to kill the Soul King, aka his father, he seems to be resentful of his father, right, for abandoning him and his kind, right, the Quincy's. He seems to have some built-up resentment towards him, and that's why perhaps he's lashing out in the way he is, out of resentment rather. So pretty interesting indeed. But yeah, so far these new animes, Boruto, very very good. It's a good time to be an anime fan. I'll say that. Quite very very easy time to be an anime fan, and quite happy to be able to observe and read all of these great narratives. Strides and Ichigo are up, but AP alone won't be enough for such good acts, I think. Yeah, it's not going to be enough because he can undo what reality has already, what events have already traversed the reality and time, right? He's able to literally manipulate concepts and tell the future ahead of time and et cetera, et cetera. And it's going to be interesting to see how they try to mitigate those issues, those obstacles. We do know, right, that it seems to be a common trend, a commonality rather in Bleach, that if you have more spiritual pressure, you can negate abilities, right, such as the second seat of the Espada, right? His sort of deterioration ability is negated if you have more spiritual pressure. That's why Aizen wasn't disintegrated when he, was in his presence because he has more spiritual pressure. So perhaps something of that nature could negate perhaps the Almighty. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I'm very interested to see that, of course. Very, very curious as well. Very, very curious. Yeah, Bleach is looking good. It's looking good, and I'm glad that the author is able to tell the story the way he wants to. Right? From my understanding, with this anime, he's now able to tell the story the way he wanted it to be told originally. I don't know if that's true. I believe it is. I've heard it from some reliable sources, so I'm glad that he's able to do that. To be honest, I've always considered Isaac to be my most favorite character in all of fiction. It's a fair selection. He's very, very cool, very complex as a character. Yeah, folks, any questions at all? Any questions at all? Feel free. Um, Perhaps next week I'll do a game streaming podcast where hopefully Shinobi can accompany me. We play some Dragon Ball Sparking Zero while we speak to you guys. That's the plan. We have to do that for you folks next week. That should be fun. We'll play ranked. We'll of course we'll box with some people online. If it does well enough, maybe we'll have subscriber battles, whatever. But that's what I'm planning as well. Perhaps next week, hopefully. And I've seen a lot of content creators lately doing a Naruto tier list. I've done a couple, but maybe I'll do the list that everyone's been doing. I'll try to ask someone that I know. and do that as well. Maybe I'll do it in parts this time so it's not an 8 hour stream and I don't get burnt out mentally so I can make better deductions and I'm not rushing to end the stream and stuff, you know. I saw Six do it. Shout out to shout out to the guy. Shout out to my boy Sage. I saw my boy TG. They all did it. So I'll do that as well with Shinobi. Ryu's script is also cracked. Yes, I agree. When he was battling Senjumaru, very, very impressive. Very impressive combat just abilities right there. You know, and we all know how powerful Senjumaru is. So there's a Kawaki without Kawaki noticing. Well, think about it this way. Amado built this artificial karma, right? Kawaki is not a scientist. Kawaki just wanted power to combat the Otsutsuki, and Amado exploited that vulnerability, right? He knew that Kawaki wanted power. He knew how badly he wanted it to destroy the Otsutsuki. So he took advantage of the vulnerability and exploited it by perhaps implanting surveillance devices and limiters into the artificially crafted karma, essentially. So well done, Amado, on his part. You know, very intelligent. I'm not surprised he did that. I mean, the guy built Shinjutsu godlike cyborgs that can literally wipe the minds of an entire world, right, with Ida, or reflect intention with Damon. It's insane. Or tell the future with Koji Kashi. It's insane how powerful these people are, and they were built by his hand. It's crazy. But yeah, folks, any questions at all? Any questions at all? The show must go on, of course. You know, been doing podcasts for a long time now. If you guys are OG fans, you guys know I've always enjoyed it. I probably always will. You know, like conversing of all things, especially anime, of course. And here I am. The show must go on. I always wondered if Ishiki was in Tuba Vortex, where would he scale? Bojura and Boruto are equal or slightly below? Um, it's an interesting question because we know that those two are both above Jigen, but Ishii's stronger than Jigen. Um, Now those two are quite above um, Jigen, rather, considering how badly they toy with No Limiter Code, who's above Jigen as well. You could argue theoretically that they're above Ishiki. There's just no way to confirm. It's pure speculation. It's a speculative based theory that you'd have to make. There is no empirical evidence to suggest either or as of now. No concrete evidence, I should say. But yeah, folks, any questions at all? Feel free. Any questions? Any questions at all? Give me a second while I tell the people in Discord that we are live as well. That slipped my mind. Feel free to ask questions, folks. Any questions at all? Appreciate it. Thing with Ishii is, yeah, he was only at 10 or less versus Barry Amado. He still looked good. Yes, he was fatigued. His life force essentially was deteriorating, declining, and Baryon Mode's ability, right, Baryon Mode Naruto has the ability, rather, with each strike to siphon your life force. So that was also amplifying the decline of Ishiki's life force and power, right? And Ishiki still looked all right. So it's hard for me to say that anyone has surpassed Ishiki as of yet. Obviously, Shibai is probably above him being the god of Otsutsuki, but besides that, there's no one I could confirm or safely say is above him yet as of now. So, to be honest, I've always thought that Ishiki was the best right now. Otsutsuki. Am I wrong in that assessment? No, you're not. He is the best right now. Otsutsuki, yeah. I think that's pretty easy to conclude. Yeah, Ishiki's very, very powerful though. Ishiki's very powerful. Even fatigued. The guy's a monster. Yeah. The reason why Kage had to sneak up on him. She wasn't going to defeat him in battle. That's for sure. But yeah, folks, any questions at all? Feel free. Any questions at all? What's your opinion of Aizen's philosophy? Aizen is an individual who's very ambitious. He reminds me a lot of Orochimaru, in that he's willing to do whatever it takes to acquire power and knowledge. Right? Like when he was experimenting on Soul Reapers, etc., and sort of trying to understand the nature of holification. Um, he was certainly doing that at their expense, right? To him, the end, the mean, they're just a means to an end, right? And the ends justify the means to him in his own mind, right? Power is what he wants, and he was already a captain and quite talented, but that wasn't enough for him. He wanted more. He wanted all the almighty power of a god. That's what he wanted. And he went pretty far, right? He went pretty far, built the Espada organization, a very powerful organization. Um, he's a very ambitious and intelligent and cunning villain. He also has a coda scene with the shoe scene versus Naruto. Oh man, that's a fact. That is a fact indeed. The amount of disrespect he subtly showed is insane. Right? The guy literally like showed manners before whipping Naruto's ass in his own house. I mean, how much more disrespectful can it get? Right? It's insane how much of a menace he is, or he was rather. So I agree. I've heard on social media that some people will legitimately think that Kaguya is over Ishiki because she left him on the verge of death, and also think that she's about to fuse Momo. Yeah, people don't analyze the context of that, right? She had to sneak up on him, right? Sneak attack him. That's literally stated canonically. So that's the only reason why he was on the verge of death. And the very action that she executes, it implies that she's inferior, right? It implies that she has to sneak up on him to defeat him. That's literally what that implies, more than likely. If there's any questions at all, feel free. Aizen also a keto master, which is close for not many people use that system. Agreed. You only see it very few times in the narrative. It's not very used. It seems like very wise and skillful individuals use keto, right? Someone like Yamamoto, of course, Aizen, Byakuya, etc. Not very many people utilize keto, um, but it is quite a cool system, I must say. And Aizen is obviously very, very good at it, very gifted, so talented. Any questions at all, folks? Any questions? It can be about the elections, Donald Trump being on Joe Rogan. I watched some of it. Fell asleep watching it actually last night. You can ask about that. You can ask about current events, sports, of course. The NBA season has begun. It's upon us. The NFL season is it's among us as well. UFC 308 just concluded earlier today in Abu Dhabi. Many many things to discuss there. Whatever you guys want to ask, feel free. I like to discuss all things, all things within the realm of reason, of course. So, my opinion about is that he's a man who refuses to accept the system of the world and wants to reshape it to his liking, no matter how dirty the means. Yes, that's what it is. He doesn't want to be limited by the system that he knows he wants to change the system, right? He wants to control the system via the Huyaku, which he literally tries to do, right? So he's a threat because of that, and one of the best villains I've ever seen. So that I could definitely say that. Yeah, folks, any questions at all? Any questions at all? I'm definitely gonna clip a lot of this and put it on the clips channel. If you haven't subscribed to that, I'm gonna share it to do that. It's in the description. Lots of content there. Crazy that this year is nearly over already. Feels like the great beef is still fresh. Oh, you mean like Drake and Kendrick, or yeah, but you're right. This year has flown by. I agree. Really, really has. Certainly has. Actually, speaking of that, Kendrick actually commented on the beef, right? And he basically iterated that Not Like Us represents the man he is, right? It represents the man he tries to be and represents his values and et cetera, et cetera. Let me actually read what he said, like what he said, because it's actually interesting what he says, and you could extrapolate some things on the beef. It was recent as well. Kendrick Lamar beef explained. No, where is it? Where is it? Finally opened about his diss track. Okay. Not Like Us is the energy of who I am, Lamar said. The type of man I represent. Okay. For you, alright, let's kind of read what he said. The type of man I represent. This man has morals, he has values, he believes in something, he stands on something, he's not pandering. Okay. Whether Lamar likes it or not, the pandering man in question is awfully clear. Not Like Us is ripe with references. At one point, he calls Drake out directly. Okay, we know that. I don't know what changed, but Lamar's angry boy summer is over. The rapper went on to explain the kind of person he believes Not Like Us represents. He's a man who can recognize his mistakes and not be afraid to share the mistakes, and can dig down into fear-based ideologies or experiences to be able to express them without feeling like he's less of a man. If I'm thinking of Not Like Us, I'm thinking of me and whoever identifies with that. Despite the venom-laced bars, Lamar doesn't harbor any resentment, especially not towards someone whose name rhymes with cake. Okay. I don't believe I'm an angry person, he said, but I do believe in love and war, and I believe they both need to exist. And my awareness of that allows me to react to things, but I identify with them as who I am. Just allowing them to exist and allowing them to flow through me, that's what I believe. Okay? At the very least, this shift in perspective means the market focus on more important things, specifically his Super Bowl performance. In February, he'll headline the halftime. Okay, we know that. Rap music is still the most impactful genre to date, he said, and I'll be there to remind the world why. They got the right one. Okay, very interesting. So, this is what I'll say. Him implying that this song isn't. Let's see, let's go back to what he said. Uh, represents. So it said, despite the venom laced bars, Lamar doesn't harbor any resentment, especially not towards someone whose name rhymes with cake. I don't believe I'm an angry person. Now, this is what I'll say. I believe both guys in this beef harbor some resentment. If you're gonna call someone a pedo and call the other person a wife beater, it's more than just a playful beef. It's gone far further than that, right? If you're implying that it's going to be someone's last show in a specific city because of who they are and what they've caught, what beef they are in, that's not child's play. You know that's further than that. That's deeper than innocent beef. Um, this was a real beef. Those guys legitimately do not like each other. I know Kendrick was trying to be politically correct and say, I'm a man and, this song represents who I am and the values that I hold. I'm not pandering to nobody. Um, it's interesting, you know. Um, I'll say this. Yes, I'm biased towards Drake, but he's doing the halftime show. He's saying he's not pandering, right? But he's doing the halftime show. He submits his songs to the Grammys, and he's won a Grammy, I think, for Not Like Us, Best Song of the Year or something like that. So clearly, um, he cares about reception. Every artist does. You gotta be serious if you drop Meet the Grams. Yeah, man. You definitely gotta be serious. That was the best written beef. Excuse me, the best diss track in the beef. And I'm a Drake fan. I gotta admit, that was the most vile one, the deepest hitting one. He attacked Drake on multiple fronts. Um, his manhood, the pedo shit, who he is, what he is. It attacked him on multiple fronts. So yeah, it's serious. It's not a game. Um, maybe Kendrick is trying to, be politically correct, but it's certainly not a game. Those guys legitimately do not like each other, perhaps hate each other. Now neither one of them are gangsters. Neither one of them are, Tupac and Biggie as far as what they're willing to do as far as physical action. But this is a real beef though. There's legitimate malice from both sides here. Really is. It's quite obvious. So hip hop needed it though, I must say. Hey, I think we can all agree with that, regardless of who you like more, regardless of who you thought won. Hip hop needed this. It brought everyone's game up. Those two pushed each other. They pushed each other to drop hits. Family Matters and Not Like Us. The whole concept of writing a letter to Drake's family makes it personal. Of course, yeah, absolutely does. Absolutely. That's very, very personal. Very personal. The Joker and Batman dynamic is one of the most famous and iconic in all of fiction. Arguably the most iconic, Arguably the most iconic at this point. But yeah, the beef is arguably the best beef of all time from a rap standpoint. To me, it's still Biggie and Pac because of the ramifications, because of the impact they had for years to come. The way it ended, unfortunately, which was a sad ending, of course. They both lost their lives. But Drake and Kendrick is high, man. It's high up there. They they released some heat. Brilliant, brilliant rap from both sides. So it's clear that these guys are two of the best in the world right now. So my headcanon with Ishiki is that if Kaguya had won the fourth Great Ninja War, Ishiki would have come with his Jigen vessel to kill Kaguya for her betrayal against him. Yeah, eventually they were, Momo and Kinchiki were coming to look for her. So yeah, eventually she would have ran into Otsutsuki. Biggie and Pac would probably love it though. Oh yeah, if they were around, they would love this. They would love this. Um, and it'd be interesting to see who they'd side with. I feel like Pac would probably be with Kendrick, Biggie maybe with Drake. I don't know. That's just my educated guess, but Pac is very poetic, and so is Kendrick. Biggie is more of like a lifestyle guy, and he loves the game. It's kind of like Drake. But yeah, folks, next week should be a fun stream. I'm 90% sure it's gonna be a gaming stream, so you guys can ask questions while I play ranked, etc. It's gonna be me playing for one of the first few times I've played. I've already played the game before, but don't expect me to be like world class yet. Of course, I'm very ambitious in everything I do. I'm gonna try to be at Z ranked if I can. The ranking system on Sparking Zero, but yeah, should be a fun one. And Diddy would still try to kill Pac. Yeah, facts, bro. Facts, man. Diddy's still in jail right now, waiting for his trial. Crazy, man. Crazy times we live in, that's for sure. To be honest, Ishida, to me, symbolized something more than just a villain. He was the only Atsuki who legitimately felt like a god, being essentially untouchable. Yeah, he dominated in a way that we've really never seen before since Madara, since Madara early war arc. That's the type of domination this guy had. So, Madara had tons of beef with Tobirama. Oh, of course, yeah. That's generational beef. I mean, dude, Uchiha and the Sinju. Oh. Yeah, folks, any questions at all? Any questions at all? No, it's been a while, so, the podcasts aren't popping right now, but I'm gonna try to be as consistent as I can weekly. Once again, I'm trying to get these podcasts popping again, these streams like back in the day for you guys that have been around since then. Any questions at all, folks? Any questions at all? Imagine your mother and see your only remaining sibling killed by their brother and your best friend. Wouldn't you be livid? Yeah, of course. It's like when Sasuke saw his parents die in front of his eyes. Of course, it's going to implant some sort of resentment towards the person that committed that action. So, any questions, folks? Any questions? Yeah, I got some content coming for you folks. I'm definitely going to drop some clips for the clip channel as well. It's all coming for sure. Been, on the IRL grind for some time. Long shifts, grinding. But I love what I do. So I love this. I love this game. The game of YouTube, the interactions with the people. I always love it. So what's your take on the elections right now? Now it's a very divisive topic, obviously. Um, the most divided the U.S. has been since the Civil War, probably. Honestly, it's that bad. Um, the only difference is now we have social media and the internet to amplify the division, right? It's not like you can only go out and see someone waving a certain flag and starting a fight with them. With the internet, division is easily amplified. These echo chambers that are present on online forums, on social media platforms and applications, it certainly amplifies the division amongst the US population. It's certainly very unfortunate because at the end of the day, every US citizen or any person that cares about the country they dwell in they want the same thing. They want prosperity, right? They want prosperity, they want peace. And these trivial aspects that are causing division is truly unfortunate, right? And Trump and Kamala, neither one's the perfect candidate, right? But this is a popularity contest now. This is who can garner the most popularity, the most admiration. It's not even about policies, right? It's not about policies. It's about optics. That's what it really comes down to, especially with the internet and social media, etc. Regardless of my political affiliation and my political beliefs, to me, it's just unfortunate the amount of division there is. Um, it really is. Truly. Um, Donald Trump going on Joe Rogan's was cool. You know, um, I saw some of it, fell asleep to it. Didn't get to finish it. So it's a cool gesture on his part. Millions and millions of people watch Joe Rogan every day. It's a good way to garner appeal. Um, but yeah, the amount of division is absurd, and both candidates play into it heavily. So, man, it's tough. Who would win between Hokage Minato and Prime Itachi? Prime Itachi, in my opinion, he'd win. His speed is more impressive. Yeah, you better hope January 6 2.0 doesn't happen. Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah, the question of will there be a peaceful transition of power? That's the question, right? And it's a question many people are asking themselves because of the division, because of the resentment, because of the tribalism. Man, we have to wait and see. I hope the White House is ready. I hope they have plenty of barricades, plenty of state troopers, or whatever the case may be, just in case. You never know. But better safe than sorry. Better safe than sorry. It's a tough time politically. Is it bad that I agree with Monter's plan? No, it's a moral dilemma. Right? I've discussed that before. Whether he was right or not, it's a moral dilemma. I'm stumped on this. Who resisted talk to Jutsu more, Sasuke or Obito? Um, I'd say Sasuke because Sasuke had to be beaten down. Obito literally just got talked out of it, right? He was like talking to Naruto, and Naruto said, "Hey man, join us." But Sasuke had to get beat down at the end of the war to kind of turn new leaf. Yeah, the Secret Service better be competent this time. I agree. Certainly agree, man. The whole spiel with Trump and all that stuff is crazy. But yeah, folks, expect a gaming stream next week. Certainly going to be a fun one. I haven't played video games in a minute. I'm definitely got to get coordinated with playing games again, but definitely want to do that for you folks. And if it does well, I'll keep doing it. You guys could see the journey, maybe even the story, whatever. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, you're right, Jay. Sasuke Demon was being talked out of his way for years and years and years. Yeah, he had to be beaten down, physically beaten. Kind of like Madara and Hashirama. Hashirama had to beat Madara down, right? Once upon a time. Couldn't talk him out of it. So, but yeah, folks, we'll see if more questions start to pop in. We'll go a little bit longer. Just wanted everybody to come back and you know let you guys know that I appreciate all of y'all, and the show will never stop. Me, Shinobi, we've been on the grind lately, but we love what we do. We love what we do, and we just legitimately love this game. Um, you know, it's that simple. I hope Batman's doing all right. Batman, for watching, brother. Hope you're doing all right, brother, and God bless, man. Hopefully you're doing all right. We haven't heard from him, but yeah. Stripping on Kawaki's stance on all Atsuki needing to die, including himself. Kawaki has a very skewed perspective of the Otsutsuki, right? All he's known is his traumatic upbringing due to Jigen literally torturing him and like using him as a fucking tool to be his vessel. All these experiments and the harsh treatment, and he sees these cyborgs and all the vile acts that these groups of shinobi or I guess Otsutsuki and cyborgs did right? It caused him to have a very skewed perspective. Um, Jigen is what he thinks of when he thinks of an Otsutsuki, a very just a sociopathic, just narcissist, right? That wants things his way, right? And that's all he knows. So of course, in his mind, all Otsutsuki are vile and they need to be annihilated. But he has a very skewed perspective, of course, very, very skewed. Yeah, folks, any questions? Any questions at all? Make sure to hit the like button if you haven't already, by the way, folks. Make sure to hit the like button. Really appreciate it. But yeah, folks, we love this game and I'm gonna keep doing it as long as I can. Podcasting, videos, love it all. Regardless of the clout, regardless of it all. We love this game. The nature of YouTube and the nature of uh, video creation and idea implementation. It's all great. Any particular devil fruit technique in general you'd like so far? My favorite devil fruit so far? That's a good question, actually. What would be? Honestly, let's see. So I know the Munch Munch fruit, right? Munch Munch devil fruit, of course, Luffy's, Gum Gum, Buggy the Clown's. He has like that weird removal devil fruit. He can like remove body parts and put them back together. Honestly, I really liked Waffles, the Munch Munch ability, like the Munch Munch Devil Fruit. I think it's pretty cool. You can like eat stuff, and he like turns into it or like gains its density, and like it's pretty cool. I really like that ability. I'm biased. Obviously, I'm gonna say Luffy's probably because Luffy's my favorite character besides Zoro. Um, Favorite technique though. What's my favorite technique so far? One that I really liked was when Luffy and company first recruited Usopp, right? And they had to face that one guy. He had like it kind of reminded me of like Body Flicker, right? The guy they were fighting, the guy that was like the butler of that one girl that Usopp would always talk to. The guy was like a pirate, right, or something like that. He had like a flash step or something. So it reminded me of like Body Flicker. That ability was pretty cool, and Luffy, had to really deduce how to deal with that, the speed and how cunning he was. That was a pretty cool ability, though. But more of a tragic and hard life, Obito or Sasuke? Mm, Probably Sasuke. Sasuke had to endure more. Obito was more so just manipulated. I mean, yeah, he had a tough life. Got smashed in half by a boulder and stuff, but he was more so manipulated by Madara into believing this ideological sort of belief, right? That he manipulated his ideology. The Wax Wax fruit has great utility. Yeah, a lot of cool abilities. A lot of cool abilities for sure. Yeah, folks, any final questions here before I wrap it up? Unless the starts to pop a little bit, then I'll still a little longer. Still longer. Chopper's backstory is so sad, man. Yeah, a lot of good backstories, a lot of sad backstories I've seen. I like the world building though, in that way that, they give us context as far as who these characters are, right? Of course, the main characters, Zoro and Luffy and Nami and Usopp, but others as well, even the villains. I like that. I like the world building. I like the attention to detail. It allows us to connect more. What's going on, Kendrick? What's going on, brother? Kimimaro versus Kabuto. I'd say perfect stage mode Kabuto would be any version of Kimimaro. If it's part one Kimimaro versus Kabuto, I'd lean towards Kimimaro. Definitely if he's healthy. Definitely if he's healthy. Sage mode Kabuto beats any version of Kimimaro though, even like prime Kimimaro, because he's like above Itachi and above some cracked individual, or not above Itachi, but rather above, like early MS Sasuke, and he's quite impressive. I always thought that the Kawaki was a better written character than Boruto in part one. Kawaki is actually very well written. I do agree with that. Very good character. One of the better characters in Boruto, and always has been. But yeah, and Kimimara's Kabuto is interesting though, and multiple versions of them. It's a little bit interesting to discuss for sure. But yeah, folks, any questions at all? Feel free. Any questions at all here? About 5 more minutes, and then after that, we'll do what we always do: dollar per minute. That's how much longer I'll stay. It's a system I usually use towards the end of the stream. For each dollar, I stay another minute. So, Kid Buu versus Janemba. Janemba is a character that I have to think about. It's been a while since I've kind of even remembered him. Janemba. Let me check my work. It's been a while. Fusion Reborn. Let's see here. I would probably lean towards. Let's see. Perhaps Janemba. Perhaps. Um, he was fast enough to travel a destroyed galaxy. That's quite impressive. Um, dominated Super Saiyan 3 Goku, from what I remember. I would lean towards him. I would lean towards him. He tried to watch Naruto on Hinge, shit is mentally ill. Damn, I need to check that out actually. Fuck ally with Boruto, because think of it this way: he swore to kill Suzuki, so why wouldn't allying with one contradict that? Well, to him, allying with Boruto is a means to an end. Boruto literally said, "Oh, you can kill me after." Like he's willing to die after taking out the Shinju to save the Shinobi world, and Kawaki is okay with that as long as he gets to complete his goal, right? So they had common ground essentially. So there's a common ideological conclusion there between those two. So I'm glad to see on social media now, from my observations at least, that there's more love for Boruto now. I'm glad. It deserves it now. The praise and the admiration for the manga. I think Kimaru's criminally underrated. I agree. He's very powerful. theoretically, perhaps even KCM1 level, if you give him the benefit of the doubt when he encountered a KCM1 clone. You know, if you think he defeated the clone, then perhaps he is. He's very powerful. I mean, that was Orochimaru's #1 option, right? Prior to him getting sick and him having to resort to Sasuke's body as a vessel. Um, yeah, very powerful. A lot of potential, obviously. I think Hamaru gives part or Kakashi in the hands. Full power at the very least. I'd say full power for sure would cause Kakashi to at least sweat a little bit. You know, it'd be a struggle. To be curious, do you think Ishiki could destroy an entire galaxy with a single energy attack? Maybe a maxed out like Dojutsu attack, perhaps. I don't know. A galaxy's a lot of power. That my highball for Baryon Naruto is that galaxy. That's a highball. It's theoretically possible. I don't subscribe to him being galaxy, but it's possible. Maybe full power Ishiki, not sick. Maybe. All right, folks, a couple more minutes. Again, unless donations are given, and I'll stay, $1 per minute at that point. Really wanted to come back and talk to you folks. I was in a hiatus last week. Today I had a long shift. Been on the grind, but I love what I do. I love this game. I love YouTube. So, who's the best boxer in the world right now, in your opinion? Currently the best boxer in the world. That's a good question. It's probably, honestly, Alexander Usyk, the heavyweight. I think he has the most impressive resume. He beat Fury, I think, once or twice. He's beaten in cruiserweight. He dominated in the amateurs. He dominated. I believe he even beat Better Beeve in the amateurs, who's a monster at light heavyweight currently. I do believe Usyk is probably the best in the world at this point in time. Better Beeve is up there as well. Terrence Crawford, of course, Canelo. I think Usyk takes it right now as the #1 boxer in the world. I just see this versus the logic being that since we never see Naruto destroy a planet, you can't do it. Yeah, that's the argument a lot of people use. It's an appeal to ignorance. Yeah, a lot of people use that. That was the whole premise behind the beef between Six and King Lion. Right? King Lion would use that appeal to ignorance argument. You don't have to see something for it to be true. I mean, team for Storm Connection is Ishiki, Suzuki, Kawaki, Karma, Progression, and Adult Sasuke. I like Adult Sasuke and Storm. I like his ninjutsu. Fireball's pretty dope. Haku vs. Kimimaro. I would lean towards Kimimaro. Because with Kimimaro's bone jutsu or his Keke Genkai, it's going to be hard for Haku to harm him. Right? His little needles more than likely wouldn't at least substantially harm Kimimaro. So I'd say Kimimaro takes it. And he has a superior physical prowess as well, I'd say. Those sort of arguments happen because people don't know what AP is. Yep, that's exactly what it is. They're ignorant to it. Or they don't subscribe to it, but AP is certainly a thing. AP is certainly a thing. Here's an example of it, right? Let's say Superman throws a punch in the sky, right? And the AP of that punch is sufficient in destroying an entire building, right? Just because that punch didn't destroy a building rather, it doesn't negate the fact that the AP of such said punch was building level, right? So using the argument, oh well, I didn't see a building get destroyed, that's an apparent ignorance because it doesn't negate the fact that the punch had the AP to destroy a building, right? And that's where people that aren't power scaling fans don't understand, right? That's what they don't understand. Obito, Madara, Pain, Mers, and Kimaru are top 5 Naruto villains. Yeah. Alright, folks. A few more minutes, and we'll depart unless, again, donations, and I'll stay for $1 a minute. It's like they try to scale every shonen like DB. Yeah, DB, the benefit of DB, power scaling wise, is that things are observably shown, right? Things are observably shown. We literally had power levels early on in Dragon Ball. Literally. Alright, so of course it's easy to scale it, you know. But Naruto, Bleach especially, they're more subtle. It's not that simple. Yeah. Early Bleach is very hard to scale because a lot of it's subtle. It's more of a challenge. You know? What if Amado never limited Kawaki's power? If he never limited Kawaki's power, then perhaps Jura would have more of a fight on his hands. He'd probably have more of a fight on his hands. No Mers is a Ninja Storm connection exclusive villain, but I love his premise. Yeah, Ninja Storm connection is pretty good. But again, yeah, and speaking of that, again, folks, for you guys that just came in, next week, more than likely, I'm doing a Dragon Ball Sparking Zero stream. I'm gonna be like talking to you guys while playing ranked, more than likely on Dragon Ball. Do you think HQ contends with Cell or DB characters too fast? I would lean towards him losing. Could he contend with Cell? Perhaps. Perhaps. But he does lose. Um, there are a couple of factors that need to be sort of accounted for. One, the Dragon Ball universe is larger physically than the Naruto one. The Naruto one could said to be around the size of ours, right? The main universe, while Dragon Ball is stated to have a universe 7 times larger than our own. So their definition of universe is more impressive than, or larger, right? It's different semantically as well. Um, so there's, the speeds that they're able to combat at is certainly faster. So yeah, I would lean towards him not being able to take Cell and anyone above that in combat. Modern Hashirama versus Keishin Naruto and Perfect Son of Sasuke. I would still lean towards Modern Hashirama. Keishin Naruto is still being dealt with quite handedly by Madara, and Hashirama obviously stronger than Madara, full power. Perfect Son of Sasuke is implied to be inferior to Naruto as well. Alive Madara and Hashirama, yeah, they would beat them. They'd beat Naruto and Sasuke. I think Ishiki and Baramo Naruto can contend with Namek Saga Frieza. Oh yeah, they could definitely contend with him. Yeah, both the Short Horn Frieza and Final Form. Yeah, agreed. But yeah, folks, if you haven't already, make sure to hit the like button. It's really appreciated. Really appreciated. Make sure to hit that like button. Second, make sure to hit that like button, folks. Bleach top tiers would look good in DB, though up to some point in Super. Yeah, DB they would probably beat most. The top tier guys would. Ewok and Ichigo and Yamamoto and guys like that. And Super, you start talking about beyond Universal and perhaps beyond Multiversal with certain arguments. Obviously, the Xeno twins and stuff, they're like omnipotent. Obviously, they destroyed Bleach, but guys like Goku, guys like Jiren, guys like Black Frieza, Beerus, Whis, guys like that. Man, it'd be a tough fight at the very least for the top. What happened with that, by the way? There's a lot of shit, I mean, he said it, so I could say it. No privacy issues. His dad passed. He got real sick, like very sick when he got COVID to the point where he went to the ER. His best friend passed. There's a lot of shit's happened to him, man. all I can say is, God bless him, and I hope he's all right. I hope he's doing good. I haven't talked to him either in a while, so I hope he's doing okay. That's my guy, man. He's a brother to me. That'll never change. Whether he comes back or not, he'll always be a brother to me. Him and Shinobi. So, good guys, loyal, trustworthy, good-hearted guys, man. And they love this game, just like me. Love YouTube, love anime, love power scaling, love it all. Those are my guys. If Kishimoto made an official statement that Ishiki is multi-galaxy level, would you believe it? Well, here's the thing, right? Authors, let's say they complete a narrative, and then they say something else later on. It doesn't make it inherently true, right? Because then you start talking about then you start talking about the death of the author fallacy. So that's a slippery slope. I'd say just because he says Ishiki's multi-galaxy level doesn't mean it's inherently true. He'd have to empirically show that with the narrative. Then it'd be true, right? If the next chapter Ishiki destroys a galaxy or something, then yeah. But if he just says it, and we only have the empirical evidence we have, then it's a slippery slope. Oh, my condolences to the Bat family. Yeah, man, it's a shame. Hope to see him soon, At least Ichigo likely beats base Kaba. Yeah, definitely. Then that Kaba versus Super Saiyan 4 sort of all discussion came about recently. It's kind of weird, but yeah. Yeah, Batman and Shinobi, those are my guys, though, man. Always. Speaking of that, do you think the ending of Death Note was death of the author? What do you mean by that? Like, I mean, the way in which he died, or you mean the way in which Kita died? I mean, he was author of the Death Note. Or the author of that Death Note, I should say. Some people probably told Ramatards too. Yeah, definitely. I think that Tobarama sort of hype train kind of died for multiple reasons. Me and Billy made some pretty good videos, kind of killed that off. Um, it seems to my knowledge, people have given up on that. They can't really debunk what we said. The claim I made in my video, um, no one's been able to debunk that. Kind of like the heavy Sasuke thing. That hype train kind of died too. No one's been able to negate, the arguments I made in my video or Billy's. So shout out to Billy. Um, Kind of destroyed the speed argument of Heavy Sasuke, the wank that he was receiving. Do you think the creator of Death Note left the ending up to our interpretation? Oh, I see what you're saying. Perhaps. I think authors will do that at times. Kind of stir conversation, to stir thought. It's certainly possible. Toriyama's so weird. You can put him in the top 20, but then Kinnington happened. Yeah, he just got a poor ending, and Kinnington did not look the best in the war. They looked unintelligent, you know, not just dumb, like yeah, they had Nine Tails chakra, they can go V2 and stuff, but who were they defeated by in the war? Fucking Choji and fucking Darui and Tenten with the six pass tools? Like it's not that impressive, you know? But Tobirama, I like Tobirama too. I think he's cool, I like his aesthetic. I like that he's a founder of multiple jutsu, the pioneer in Konoha government, and he's a cool dude. It's just he got a bad ending. It's just that simple. How far would Boruto make it through Bleach? Boruto himself? I'd say early Bleach, he would do pretty well against most, besides some like Aizen. Aizen would destroy him, obviously. Yamamoto as well. Um, Once you start talking about, end of the Espada arc and later and henceforth with the higher tiers, he's getting fucking destroyed. Destroyed. Squad Zero decimates him. Aizen decimates him. Like guys like that, he doesn't have a chance. So, who's more of a psychopathic madman, Joker or Orochimaru? Oh, Joker easily. Easily Joker. I remember Loco's King Game versus me until he glazed the shit out of them. You reacted to that on stream. Yeah, he never did respond to that. Like, he can't negate what I said. He tried to. He called it an appeal to reality. My argument was an appeal reality. Yeah, we base all our power scaling on reality. AP. The term AP is based on reality. What amount of joules of kinetic energy is required to destroy a building or a planet or a city or a city block? It's based on realistic calculations. So to say that my argument's an appeal to reality really isn't a it's fucking crazy. I don't know. That was a horrible refutation. Horrible refutation. The worst possible fallacy that you could have stated. It is not a fallacy, by the way. Minotaur versus King again? What type of fight is that? Yeah. What's your opinion of Joker's character and dynamic with the Batman in DC? I'll say Joker is a very interesting character. Um, he's completely numb to the idea of fear, it seems like. It seems like the cat and mouse game he has with Batman is his very reason for living. Like he is infatuated with this cat and mouse game that him and Batman are playing, and he wants to one up Batman. He wants to prove to himself and to Batman that his ideology is flawed, that incarcerating enemies and not killing them and trying to save everybody and be the savior of Gotham City is null and void. And he tries to break Batman and break his spirit constantly. He's done many horrible things to him in many ways. You know, shooting Barbara Gordon in the spine, torturing Tim Drake, killing Jason Todd, all the shit he's done to him, all the stuff he's done to him. It's to try and break him. And Batman is not breakable, right? In most continuities, of course, he's not breakable. So Joker continues to play this game with him, continues and continues and continues, and it's a perfect dynamic as far as villain and hero, because both guys are so unbelievably ambitious when it comes to their goals and their ideologies that it turns into this beautiful rivalry, you know. Um, One of the greatest, truly. Yeah, there are definitely characters like Jerome that you like, but you have to slander because people are dumber than bricks. Yeah, man. It's that simple. But yeah, folks, I think it's gonna wrap it up. It's great to come back with you guys. Expect more than likely a gaming stream. Um, Join my Discord to be up to date on that. I'll probably let the people know, like a day or two out from next Saturday, whether or not it's gonna be a gaming stream. It's gonna be something, either a tier list, a gaming stream, or something. We're gonna do something cool next week. It's been a while, so we switched it up. Should have Shinobi with me. So expect that. But much love to y'all. Appreciate y'all coming out. And I'll see you next time, folks. Stay classy.